Do you know that the marketplace and especially workplace is one of the leading locations where people experience stress and anxiety? I've seen most employees or business people encounter anxiety sometime during their career. One of the adversities that you can sometime face is to have anxiety disorder. It is therefore very important that everyone is aware of the signs of anxiety and tools needed to cope dealing with it. Just for a few minutes, I want us to explore different types of marketplace anxieties. We'll also look at or learn to recognize symptoms and warning signs, as well as determine ways of coping and managing anxiety problems. A lot of people have anxiety problems, and that is good. What is not good is to have anxiety disorders. Some of us don't suffer with anxiety disorders ourselves, but somehow we have to deal with people that suffer with this type of disorder in our surrounding. Question I have for you right now is, do you know how will you deal with anxiety disorders that may be surrounding you right now? When I suffered mild anxiety disorders, this is what I learned about myself. We all somehow go through normal nervousness, which may cause mild symptoms such as fidgeting, stomach fluttering, or shaking hands, but they don't hinder your performance. Anxiety disorders, on the other hand, goes beyond simple nervousness. Many symptoms of anxiety are described as crippling or typically interfere with your ability to complete certain tasks. There are good things about anxiety. And on that, I can mention things like anxiety alerting us of dangers, doesn't it? One of the most beneficial and most overlooked aspect of anxiety is that it alerts us of a sense of danger and tells us that something is going wrong. Example here can be anxiety telling you not to walk alone at night or touch the hot stove because you will get burned. Another good thing about anxiety is that it improves our self-awareness. Anxiety raises adrenaline and causes the heart to beat faster, which prepares the body to take action that is needed. By activating that natural flight or fight mode, we become more aware of ourselves and our surroundings. Let's talk about different types of anxieties that you and I are more likely to come across in the marketplace. Number one is social anxiety. It's also known as phobia. It is a type of anxiety where a person fears crowds or public situations because they feel it will lead to public scrutiny or embarrassment. Sometimes this person can be mistaken for a person who has a shy demeanor. Characteristics of such anxiety can be someone who is extremely fearful of unfamiliar situations and people, or feeling overwhelmed with anxiety when in social situations, or even fearful of being judged or watched by other people. Another type of anxiety is what I call generalized anxiety disorder. You can also say it's GAD. It is the most common type of anxiety and is usually defined as constant state of being or of tensions, constant state of tension and panic. Common symptoms here will include things like difficulty focusing, sleeping or concentrating, or maybe constant restlessness or irritation or edginess, or feeling tired or having slow energy levels, or maybe even tense or clenched muscles. The third type of anxiety is what I call panic disorder. It is characterized by a constant state of confusion and fear, which normally occur in sporadic episodes or panic attacks. These panic attacks can cause sudden or debilitating symptoms such as shallow breathing, sweating, increased heart rate, and physical pain. Some characteristics here will include things like feeling of doom or losing control, Sometimes it could be stomach pains or dizziness or even fainting. Sometimes it could be overwhelming sense of fear, usually irritation, or sudden heart palpitations or excessive sweating. You may be wondering as to how would you know when you have a person that suffers anxiety in your surrounding. Here are the things to watch out for. They avoid social situations. Avoiding different types of social situations is a common symptom of social disorder. Many people can fear a variety of social or public situations, including public parties or events or group meetings, or even having to give a presentation to a large group. The number 2 is difficulty accepting negative feedback. Someone who suffers from some sort of anxiety disorder often has trouble accepting any form of negative feedback since they fear any type of rejection or judgment, whether it's from a coworker or from management, or any negative feedback or even constructive criticism is regarded as something not acceptable by these people. This person often takes that negative feedback as a form of judgment being passed on to them, which in turn can heighten their feelings of being scrutinized or embarrassed. In dealing with someone in this situation, here are a few tips that you may consider applying. Approach them with caution. Prepare your words ahead of time before you talk to them. Note how the person receives the information and follow up as needed to ensure that the information was received correctly. I know that at this point, you want to know how do you cope if you suffer anxiety, or how could you possibly help a friend or a family member that suffers anxiety before it develops into some form of disorder. Here are a few tips that you can apply. Number 1, power of positive thinking. Sometimes our anxieties can get the best out of us because we let them allow them by allowing the negative thoughts that they bring with them. But when we use the positive thinking and words of encouragement, we can change how our anxiety grabs us. Number 2, have a me place you can go to. When we are feeling stressed or overwhelmed, it is important that we have a place we can go to that is just for us, or maybe a me place. Whether you are at home or at work, find a spot where you can go to be alone and take a few minutes to think to yourself. Sometimes this can include your desk or office. If in a private spot, or maybe you have a secluded table in the break room, you can retreat to by sitting there and thinking by yourself. Number 3, establish attainable goals. Setting goals for ourselves is always a good practice, and it is especially true when coping with our anxiety. But we want to ensure that our goals are not so large and daunting that we scare ourselves away from trying to accomplish them. Focus on goals that you can realistically achieve and set attainable expectations for yourself. Start with small steps, such as changing the way we view a situation or how we react to something. And then later make goals to go from there. That's all I have about anxiety for now. Thanks for watching.